It started with a slow rumble on the right side of Giant Stadium. Suddenly it was a solo. Number 34, Herschel Walker, running alone, 88 yards, a USFL record run for a touchdown on a record-setting day, as the New Jersey Generals beat the Houston Gamblers.
So much better all the time. It's getting better all the time. It's getting better all the time.
Today, different folks from out of the West to challenge the Generals, a team yet to lose at home. As ABC Sports presents the 8th week of the USFL. The Portland Breakers and the New Jersey Generals. The Portland Breakers coming out of the Western Conference and coming off a big 30-17 win over the Oakland Invaders last week, starting a two-game road swing that brings them here into Giant Stadium against the New Jersey Generals, and then they go on down to play the tough Baltimore Stars next week. New Jersey, on the other hand, the Generals showing a fine fettle last week as they stayed with the ground game, produced a record for the game, both for Herschel Walker and for the team on the ground, and beating Houston. They're just a game off the lead in the Eastern Conference. In the East, the Birmingham Stallions with a win last night over Oakland by 3 at 6-2. Tampa Bay plays tomorrow night. Then next week, the Bandits and the Stallions will bump heads. New Jersey, you see, just a game off the lead and very much into the hunt as we get toward the middle portion of the regular season. Memphis is at Baltimore today, incidentally, in an Eastern Conference matchup. The Western Conference, the Gamblers and Houston and the Denver Gold are tied for the lead in the West. But Portland now looking for a chance to go even at 500 on the season after their big win last week. I'm Keith Jackson along with Lynn Swan. And Swanee, I would say, if you want to be blunt about it, the Portland Breakers don't have the playing talent that the New Jersey Generals do, but they seem to play well against the better teams.
Well, they play well as a unit. They're much more an emotional football team than they are, let's say, a team that just has the horses that can just run over you. They have the players who can execute perfectly every time. But that's the kind of guy Dick Corey is. He gets his team fired up. Now, the one part of this team that really has to get fired up today is the defensive line, because the New Jersey Generals seem to have found themselves the running attack that everyone thought they should have with Herschel Walker and Maurice Carthen. They've got to play most of that game behind their line of scrimmage so that they don't get out into the 5-yard area and run over people.
Well, now, it's a smaller defensive unit, so probably means that they're going to have to do some gambling, getting support help out of the secondary.
Some gambling, some slanting in the defensive line to take angles away from the offensive line, some stunting. But I have a feeling that the Breakers will come up and play what really amounts to an 8-man front. You get 3 down linemen, you get your 4 linebackers up to the line of scrimmage, and your strong safety. Then you say, okay, run at us. They've got the number 3 defense against the run, against the number 1 rushing defense in the USFL.
Well, now, it's an interesting thing here today, too, and that Walt Michaels, the coach of the New Jersey Generals, obviously everybody knows he used to be the coach of the New York Jets, and when he was over there with the Jets, the quarterback that he put on the bench was named Matt Robinson, and Matt Robinson today is the coach's choice at quarterback for these Portland Breakers. So it's kind of an interesting thing that everything seems to come back around a second time in professional sports.
Matt's still getting the short end of the stick. Coach Michaels sat him on the bench, and then when they acquired Doug Flutie, they traded Brian Sipe down to Jacksonville, and who had to leave Jacksonville? Matt Robinson. And he came into Portland with not the best attitude, but when I talked to him yesterday, he said, this is another chance for him to play. He's going to make the best of it, and I think do a good job.
Now, quick summary from the head man of the Portland Breakers as he visits with our Tim Brandt.
All right, Keith. Dick, we were talking about what an emotional team this is. It is a team which mirrors its head coach, I think, in that respect, but you also have to be a little bit concerned. You had a big win last week, but the inconsistency or lack of consistency thus far.
Well, Tim, I really think we've been fairly consistent. We played good football except for that San Antonio game. Right. And our team plays emotional football, but I like it that way. I like them to be emotional. I think you can be emotional one time out of a week, and I hope they're that way today.
Not to make excuses, but you did lose Marcus Dupree to a terrible knee injury. He is gone. And then Buford Jordan pulls a hamstring. You're out now with that out on running back. Dwight Beverly comes in.
Well, Dwight Beverly came in, played well, Lewis Jackson. But I think when you lose people like that, what you've got to do is your whole team has to pick up the slack, and everybody on our team has picked up the slack. You hate to play without a Dupree, hate to play without a Jordan, but your rest of your team has to play real well, and that's what they've been doing. Hope we can keep it up today, Keith.
Tell me very quickly now about your defense. You know that Herschel's had a couple of big weeks. What do you do to stop him and Flutie?
Tim, I think the only thing you can do is you can't stop him. I think what we've got to do is prevent the long gain. If we can stop him from getting any long run on us, we're going to be in good shape.
Okay, good luck today.
Thanks, Tim. Nice being with you.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
All right, Keith, we're all set to go down here.
All right, Timmy, they want to make Herschel go the long way today. Don't give him any of the big plays, because that big play he produced last week turned out to be ultimately the difference in the game against the Houston Gamblers. Portland won the toss. The Breakers will receive. Lewis Jackson and Harold Ricks back for Roger Ruzek's kickoff, and it goes to Lewis Jackson, who picks it up on the bounce, finds a hole up the sideline, bangs his way across the 40 to the 42. So it's a fine run for Lewis Jackson as the kicker, Roger Ruzek, came down and stuck his helmet into him and brought him down. 35-yard return as Matt Robinson comes out now. Matt's been around, came out of the University of Georgia. Dwight Beverly out of Illinois will line up in the backfield at the deep spot with Vince Williams of Oregon. Lockett, Franz, and Ross are the catchers. And Portland will put it up. You expect their short game to be very obvious today, the short passing game, occasionally going deep with Lockett. They go to Lockett on the first play of the ball game, and John Joyce, linebacker, dropping off in the short zone, nicked it just enough to knock it beyond his reach. The offensive front for the Portland Breakers, pretty good-sized people working against Lockett, Weaver, Byrne, the down people for New Jersey, with Weddington, LeClaire, Joyce, and Leopold. LeClaire's retired. He's gone. Johnson, Preston, and Holmes in the secondary for the New Jersey Generals.
After 14 years, Jimmy said, "I've had enough."
And up to the line on second down and 10 comes Matt Robinson. Throws it short. It's batted at the line of scrimmage and hits the ground incomplete. Jim Byrne, number 74, out of Wisconsin Lacrosse, who stands 6'4", weighs 280, got his hand up and slapped it down. So it'll be third down and 10. And it looked to me like Matt Robinson was a little laissez-faire with that particular play.
Well, he was not trying to throw the ball real hard. He was trying to set up a screen here. He had his players right there, but the inside hand of Jim Byrne just gets up in the air and knocks it down. He couldn't drill it because the distance was so short.
Could love it. Third down and 10 now. From the 42 for the Breakers. Allen goes in motion and out of the shotgun. Matt Robinson, no pressure, gets it off. He's got Franz and it's overthrown. Nolan Franz had turned inside of number 32, Ken Johnson, and then on a head fake gone past him, and he was open.
Well, I think what we just saw were three really lackluster plays by the Portland Breakers. The receivers had opportunities there to make catches. They were open. The ball was not there. Frank Lockett on the first play of the game had a chance to really come back and make a tough play, but still make it. He didn't do it.
Jeff Gossett to punt now, and Danny Knight is back to receive it for the New Jersey Generals. And the Generals ought to have pretty good field position out of this. It's a low-hanging spinner that goes to the 12, and Knight is caught but shakes him, comes across the 20 and out close to the 25. It's a 46-yard punt and a 13-yard return. There was a Breaker downfield. He got a hand on him, but he shook him off. And New Jersey goes to work just short of the 25 with Doug Flutie at quarterback. Doug had a fairly productive game last week. Herschel Walker was the star, and Doug was able to put on his clothes and get out of the locker room and disappear in a hurry. Lining up in the backfield will be Herschel Walker and Maurice Carthen. They are discussing a penalty down on the field. It is against the Breakers. New Jersey declines it, and they will have the football. Herschel Walker and Maurice Carthen will line up in the backfield with Walter Broughton, Clarence Collins, the wide receivers, and Sam Bowers, the tight end. Up front, it's Mackey, Stroth, Paul, Harris, and Maggs. And the offensive front for the New Jersey Generals have become the prime story of this team because they were really effective last week. Flutie gives it to Walker. And Walker breaks it outside and gets outside, and suddenly the very thing that Dick Torrey didn't want to happen has happened on the very first play. Scotty Byers out there just simply couldn't get to him in time, and Herschel Walker moves the football out to the 40 and the first down.
That was very similar to the same play that Herschel ran last week for an 88-yard touchdown as he tried to get to the same area of the sideline, some open room, and to run. His offensive line doing a very good job of opening up the hole for him right at the point of attack, which was between the guard and
I don't understand why Bruce Miller couldn't have a shot at him. He just simply ran by him. It's easy to underestimate the speed of Walker. He is a fast man. And if you don't get to him, you get just this kind of a thing right here. A hole over the left side, and once he gets his helmet pointed downfield, he is tough. He's got another first down as he goes to the Breaker 49-yard line. Here are the defensive people for the Portland Breakers. Kenny Neal, Gerald Bayless, and Alan Hughes are the people up front with Storr, Pennywell, and Pennywell is wearing a helmet microphone today. That's the play calling you hear from down below. Ernest Adams and Ben Needham with Miller, Byers, Restick, and Lindell Jones in the secondary. First down for the Generals, just short of the 48 of Portland. Herschel Walker, just as we had last week, carrying the ball in the early going on every snap, and he's just about back to the line of scrimmage before Bayless brought him down. Now, Gerald Bayless only weighs 230 pounds, playing that nose tackle position, and stands only 6 feet. Relatively small man to have to play that nose position.
He's going to have to go against the center, Kent Hull, number 58 of the Generals, and that's going to be one of the key matchups in the ball game. As the Generals try and attack the defensive line from tackle to tackle, he has to shore up that defensive line, force them to the outside where they have a better chance of stopping Herschel Walker.
On second down and 9. Call it. And Flutie looking at the 30-second clock run out as he wanted to call an audible and change the play at the line of scrimmage, calls a timeout. That's Chris Palmer, the offensive coordinator. I guess it wasn't a timeout after all. It's just simply going to absorb the 5-yard penalty of too much time. So Flutie, realizing that he either timeout or take the penalty, chose to take the penalty and then ran over to the sidelines to get the information. So they're looking now at second down and 14.
What's the toss, man?
Flutie's first pass of the ball game. Loops it downfield. Clarence Collins is wide open and steps out of bounds at the 8-yard line. There wasn't a Portland Breaker within shouting distance of him.
Well, Joe Restick is a strong safety. He was in that area. He came running forward. The other man on that side was a free safety, Scott Byers. And apparently what they had done was rolled over to that side of the field, made a mistake in the coverage, and then suddenly Clarence Collins is wide open. No one around him for at least 20 yards as he makes a catch, goes out of bounds for a 44-yard pickup.
And it's first and goal, New Jersey now. As Bowers and Speck are both in, double tight end, give it to Herschel Walker. Trying to get outside, now comes back the other way. And runs into Ernest Adams, and Adams brings him down around the 4. I thought when he reversed his field and came back against the flow that he probably would score because he's that quick. But Adams sensed it and was able to make the tackle.
Well, it looked to me like Herschel was started to run all the way back to his left. Then suddenly he saw a hole open up just in front of him and cut it upfield. But watch him lower his head and shoulder right here to drive for another 3 yards. That's something Herschel has not been doing a lot of until the last 3 weeks.
Second down and goal from the 4. Walker in the middle to about the 2. This is what happens to you when you are the smaller people on defense now. They've got to protect the middle because of the size of Bayless. So as a result, linebackers have to step in there and fill that hole and help out. And the corners are just naturally going to gravitate toward the middle of it. So that's going to leave you open on the flank.
But it's not just Bayless. Kenny Neal is only 255 and Alan Hughes is only 255. So they're all small for defensive linemen.
Walker gets a hole and... No,
they stopped him, I think.
Just short. I thought when he got that much momentum and started slanting in, he would probably score, but as you can see, he's about a half a yard short of it.
Yeah, well, the top of his helmet's over the line, but the football is back in his gut, which is just short of the goal line.
It was Greg Storr, Robert Pennywell, and Frank Manu Malayunua who brought him down.
Well, he gets a good hole, but where he makes a mistake here is he doesn't really get the body forward low and driving into the end zone. And they're able to turn him and keep the ball just short of the goal line. The ball has to cross, not the body.
They're going on 4th and goal. Fumble. Rudy got it back. The Breakers jump all over him, and the Portland Breakers have stopped the New Jersey Generals on a 1st and goal situation at the 8th, and on the 4th down and a half a yard snap, the ball came loose off the snap, and the Breakers take over.
Keith, for a second there, it looked like the left side of the offensive line might have jumped.
There's a flag down. So let's see what that flag is. If it's against Portland, then the Generals are going to get another shot at it, and it is against the Portland Breakers. So the Breakers have bad luck. Instead of holding now, there was a flag thrown underneath that pile of humanity, and once everybody got up off the ball, there was the old yellow flag, and Dick Corey is upset over the call.
Keith, I thought that the offensive line of the New Jersey Generals, the right side, jumped prematurely, and that's what Dick Corey is upset about.
The call was encroachment. So they give it to Walker, and he goes over the top on 4th and goal from a foot away, and the Generals get on the scoreboard. So Herschel Walker has scored his 41st rushing touchdown of his USFL career, and when it looked like the Breakers had him stopped, the flag gave the Generals another shot at it, and Herschel goes over the top.
Well, you see Herschel going over the top for the touchdown. The penalty is what gave them that second chance, and Dick Corey's Breakers were penalized 23 times in the ball game earlier this year against the Houston Gamblers.
The kick by Ruzek is up and good out of Partridge Hole, and it's 7-0 New Jersey at 9:29 to go in the first quarter. And they're angry on the Portland side of the field. They're happy on the other side as the Generals take the lead.
Linda, what happened on that?
So Herschel Walker cashes in the good fortune of the New Jersey Generals. The big play in the drive, the first run by Walker was a big play, and then that 44-yard pass floated to Clarence Collins as there was a mix-up in the Breaker defensive secondary. Lewis Jackson and Harold Ricks are the deep people. Buford Jordan will not play today, still struggling with that hamstring. One of the better running backs in the USFL. Ruzek will kick it off now. Jackson returned it 35 yards the last time after the bobble on the reception. This one is a high hanger, and it'll go to Jackson again at the 7. This time he doesn't get the kind of a hole he had before. Gets out to the 22, and you've got a penalty flag thrown into the stack again. Tom White is the referee. Richard Spencer the umpire. Robert Walker the head linesman. The line judge is L.T. Bonner. The back judge is Bill Richardson.
Face mask on the kicking team.
So Portland gets that call. The side judge is Joe Richwine, and the field judge is James Anderson.
I don't know if they were going to get him or not. Like he said, just call a timeout this early in the game. Why didn't he look up at the clock? Great thing.
With 9:18 now, the ball comes out just beyond the 27 of Portland. The Breakers will have it on the next snap. You can see that Matt Robinson has been intercepted 9 times during his time with the Portland Breakers, and it looked like Portland came out to do a little probing in that first series, but the New Jersey Generals took it and just hammered it down the field. Johnny Walton wearing the headset, the man that was the quarterback of the Breakers for the first 2 seasons, and is now an assistant coach under Dick Corey for the Breakers. This is Dwight Beverly carrying the football, and Beverly is up across the 30 near the 33. Beverly's had a couple of big ball games for the Breakers. He's replacing Buford Jordan.
Beverly's doing a great job. He came in the first time he got into the ball game for the Breakers. He ran for 100 yards and had 27 carries and told Dick Corey that's the most he's ever carried the ball.
Robinson gives it to Beverly, cuts it back over the left side, and Beverly carries for a first down to midfield. A moment now with Tim Brandt as he talks to Herschel Walker.
Herschel's off to another quick start. 2 weeks ago, you told me you were just trying to earn respect. Last week, it was the rhythm. Now it seems like everything's there.
Well, now we got to maintain, running the ball and maintain passing the ball to keep them off guard. I know the offensive line has been coming strong each week. We saw that against Baltimore, and each week they've been getting better and better.
All right, Herschel. Thank you very much. Keith?
All right, Timmy, and it's just short of midfield now. I think that was Curtis Jones we had a picture of a while ago. It was supposed to be Johnny Walton. I didn't see it until it was too late. Going first down. Robinson back. Bumps one time. Looks right. Goes left. Pass is intercepted by number 37, Jerry Holmes. And Holmes is down around the 47-yard line. Robinson had plenty of time to throw the football. Well, when he threw it, he missed his target.
Keith, it's a bit of confusion, and we're seeing more of it right now with the Breakers and their offensive team. He has a receiver who's open on the sideline after he pump fakes it. He has another receiver crossing. Now, who is he throwing to? All right, he looks like he's throwing it to Anthony Allen. But Anthony Allen saw the receiver on the other side, threw his hand up half-heartedly instead of really going after the ball. That creates the turnover.
Don't go there.
So the Generals have it near the 48. John Joyce got his britches pulled up there over that left knee. I don't know if he's hurt or not. You can see he's wrapped up in tape. We've got an ice bag on his right knee. Well, this time of the year, you start living with aches and pains from the bumps and bruises. It is first down, New Jersey, just short of their own 48-yard line. They lead 7-0 in the first quarter of play. 7:20 to go. It's Walker, and Herschel Walker just takes it and slams it over the right side, and apparently Walt Michaels' game plan is to beat on the Portland defensive people, wear them down just as they did last week against the Houston Gamblers. And in checking the condition of John Joyce, the right knee is the problem, and they don't expect John will come back. That's a big loss.
That's a real big loss. You don't want to see your key people getting hurt, losing them right when you're trying to make a run at the lead in your division.
Wayne Harris is out of there right now at the right guard spot for New Jersey. John Jewell is in, and I think they ran out of time, didn't they?
Well, they may have again. The clock showing 30. Went back down to 0 and
False start. Number 70, offense, second down.
Well, it's the new man who just came into the lineup. It's a penalty against New Jersey. John Jewell had come running into the ball game in replace of Wayne Harris, who'd hobbled off the field, and you see him break the count right there. So it's the third penalty against the Generals.
In track and field, in the sprinters race, they just call it a rolling start.
Armin Hari, the most famous rolling start in history in the Olympic Games.
Really?
Yep. 100 meters to the gold medal. Second down and 12. Flutie gives it to Carthen, and Maurice's first carry of the day is back about to the original line of scrimmage. He picked up a couple of yards on the play. Joe Restic brought him down.
Clarence Collins and number 40, Bruce Miller, were on the sideline having a little war with their arms, not really doing much damage to each other. Clarence Collins getting in a few pushes.
They might be tightening things up just a tad because we had a rough ball game here last week between Houston and New Jersey, and there were a lot of flags thrown last night in the Birmingham-Oakland game.
Now, Dick Corey is a little concerned about that because I don't think he believes that the officials have really been fair to his particular ball club.
On third down at about 9, Flutie setting up a screen play for Herschel Walker. Two people to help him out in front, and Walker goes for a first down for New Jersey, down near the Portland Breakers 42 before Lindell Jones and Ernest Adams can bring him down.
Keith, last week with Herschel Walker having the great ball game, we saw, I think, for the first time in the year, this team playing the kind of football that their head coach, Walt Michaels, really likes to play. Possession football, grind it out, throwing it, doing something fancy only when you have to. I think that's going to help the offensive line a great deal because now they don't have to hold the blocks longer on pass protection or scramble around.
Sam Bauer's taken up out. Jeff Speck in at tight end from New Jersey. Ball goes to Carthen. And Carthen bangs heads with Ernest Adams, who, like Wright Beverly, is out of the University of Illinois. Move the ball down to the 40, pick up of about 1.5 yards or so.
Ernest Adams gets up a little bit slow because I think Maurice Carthen was able to get his head a little bit lower and really give him a shot right in the midsection. Oh, no. He was the lowest guy. He just did hit him too hard.
Herschel Walker. Herschel caught behind the line of scrimmage by Pennywell, slowed down, but even so, he has the strength to go ahead and pick up close to 4 yards. The New Jersey play selection so far in the ball game, Walker's carried it 9 times, Flutie's thrown 2 passes, and Carthen has run the ball twice.
That's the coaching staff for the Breakers.
Walter's up there, isn't he?
Yep, up in the booth, calling down plays and defensive formations.
3rd down and 4.5. Little quick pop outside. Pass is caught by Walter Broughton, just enough for the first down. Coming up to make the hit was Lindell Jones, but he got there too late. A rookie, not a rookie actually, but he came out of Hawaii, 5'9", 170. Both corners for Portland are 5'9" people, so it's possible to get your mismatch out there inside.
Certainly is. A 3rd down situation coming into this ball game. The Generals have been a 50% team in 3rd down efficiency. Much of that is due to the fact they get into very short yardage situations on 3rd down. Success of the plays on 1st and 2nd down.
From the 28, Walker. And Walker to about the 25. The little microphone on the helmet of Robert Pennywell gives you some idea of the effort that's being expended down in the trenches.
All that noise down there sounds a little bit like one of those old kung fu movies.
If he looks hurt or anything.
Dick Corey is also wearing a mic. You'll hear some comments from him as the day goes on. Walker is caught this time and thrown down right around the 24-yard line. The mark should be around the 24 as Kenny Neal fought his way through there. Kenny Neal had 3 years with the New York Jets coming out of Iowa State.
Green and draw now!
Kenny Neal, who played well for the Jets, was a victim of what's been called a numbers game. There were just so many people there who had the talent. Someone had to be moved, and he was traded to the San Diego Chargers, went out there, did not make their team last year, and was picked up by the Baltimore Stars, then traded to the Portland Breakers.
3rd and 7, Flutie. Passes away for Speck, and he's got it, and touchdown, New Jersey. Play goes in the books as a 24-yard touchdown.
Coming into this ball game, I felt that the real challenge on the ball game would be won or lost between the offensive line of the Generals and the defensive line of the Breakers. But it's a secondary of the Portland Breakers right now that has really made the major mistakes. And with this extra point, gives the Generals a 14-0 lead in the first period.
You've got 2 minutes and 3 seconds to play in the first quarter. And the Breakers are digging themselves a hole. Jeff Speck, the tight end for the Generals, only his 5th catch of the season and his first touchdown catch of the year. And the Generals are out to a big lead in the first quarter, 14-0. And Ruzek will kick off to Ricks and Jackson. Jackson had a big ball game for Portland last week against the Oakland Invaders. Up the high hanging kick, and again it's Jackson to return it from the 6. Pretty good coverage downfield by the Generals as Lewis looked around and found just enough daylight to get out to about the 23. 17-yard return at 1:53 to go first quarter. So the Generals are banging it out most of the time, but using the pass most efficiently.
And using up the clock so that time becomes their ally. and the enemy of the Portland Breakers.
David Bale is the tight end as Dan Ross comes out on this possession. White Beverly. And Beverly up to the 25. Close to it, John Preston, the lead tackler.
You don't usually see the bench of the New Jersey Generals that loose early in the ball game. There aren't too many ball games where they've been out in front with a 14-point lead. And they felt a little bit comfortable.
Well, it's always a different kind of a feel when the big guys start getting some credit. And everybody has been lavishing credit on the offensive linemen over the last couple of weeks. They have played well. Robinson on second down and 9 goes to Franz. Franz is thrown down around the 29-yard line. John Preston got to him in a hurry. All right, here's the touchdown maker for the Generals, Mr. Speck with Tim Brandt.
Keith, you heard Jeff say it's about time, and it looked to me, Jeff, like you saw the safety walk over and you took the seam on him. Is that what happened?
Well, as a play, it comes off a play action. We have 2 tight ends in there, and it was the 39 fake, and I was supposed to come across about 5 yards deep, but the strong safety and the free safety were reading the play so well that all I had to do was take it up the field, and it was wide open.
All right, Keith. 3rd down and 4. Robinson looking. Goes incomplete. Passes off the hands of Beverly. He had come in and made the move on Leopold, broken away from Bobby. And the ball goes off his fingers as we have 4 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
Coach Dick Corey told me that he felt Beverly was a very good pass receiver. And prior to the injury to both Dupree and Buford Jordan, his intention was to make Dwight Beverly a receiver. Dwight Beverly was injured with a slight hamstring problem early in the season. By the time he came back, his services were needed more as a running back than as a wide receiver.
Gossett the punt. First kick was 46. Danny Knight is beat. Again, pretty good kick. Knight at the 20. And to about the 38. So Knight gets an 18-yard return after a 50-yard punt at the end of the first quarter of play at Giant Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. The Generals lead the Portland Breakers by a score of 14-0. Kind of a gray, cool day and threatening rain in the New Jersey, New York area. Comfortable for the football players as they New Jersey Generals come up first down at the 39. Walker. This brute strength to about the 42.
On that particular play, number 60, Gerald Bayless, did a pretty good job of holding his ground against the center, Ken Hull. But then he had Maurice Carthen coming in, pushing behind him, and the left guard, Vince Stroth coming over and just bullying their way for the yards. You see the first quarter stats, New Jersey dominating in every category.
2nd and 7. Walker's got the first down as he breaks it to the Portland 48. If they don't find a way to stop Walker from doing that, it's going to be a long day because Herschel now's got 61 yards on 13 carries.
Well, borrowing a line that goes along with his state rival in college, Georgia Tech, Herschel is becoming a rambling wreck over here all afternoon.
Lord, don't call Herschel a rambling wreck.
That's okay. He's out of school now.
Your mailman won't be able to handle it. Flutie back. Going big for Collins. Off his hands. Incomplete. Well, that was a ball that could have been caught.
Should have been caught. Not could have been caught. Should have been caught. Joe Resnick came over. Secondary really didn't do a great job of stopping this, although there might be a slight deflection here. No, there's not. Collins just had a chance to catch that ball. The concentration, I don't think, was there. He was running straight up and down, Keith. Looked like he was not really judging the ball that well.
That's Flutie's first miss. He's 4 out of 5.
That's Clarence Collins' fault there. You can't count that one against young Dougie.
Walker. And Herschel moves from the 48 just over the 45.
Yeah, Doug Flutie's looking over the team, all that grunting and groaning that's going on between all the big linemen. He's glad he's not a part of that.
Ball is just inside the 45. Third down and about 7. Third and long, Flutie out of the shotgun, a low snap. Gets it away, and Speck's got it. And with it, a first down at the 32 of Portland. Joe Restic was a half step off of him, and Flutie put the ball right on his hands.
I don't know whether the receivers from New Jersey are just playing that well, running the routes that well, or whether the defense is thinking more about the run and how to stop Herschel Walker. And as a result, they're playing such loose coverage, paying more attention to the fact that they might try the little quick screen and passing downs to Herschel. They might try the draws to Herschel or to Maurice Carthen.
First and 10 from the Portland 32. First down pass by Flutie. Thrown short. Sam Bowers, tight end. Goes to close to the 5, where it'll be first and goal to go, New Jersey.
I've seen Sam Bowers take a lot of hits catching passes across the middle. He always seems to get up, takes a tough blow. Right here, he's got a chance to turn upfield and really dish out some punishment. And you'll see the left cornerback, number 40, Bruce Miller, come up and make the wise decision in trying to take him low. But Sam Bowers sees that, just steps around and over him and picks up another 5 yards.
Ball is just inside the 6. First and goal. Walker. Down to about the 2.
That time Herschel ran behind the left side of the line.
That darn crossing pattern just killed us again there. Not playing very well.
No. We just got to shake out of the doldrums.
Yeah.
It's John Ralston, president of the ball club, right there with him. John, of course, one of the founding fathers of the USFL.
I remember John as a head coach for the University of Stanford. He tried to recruit me as a senior out of high school in San Jose.
Walker. Not quite.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't care how Herschel Walker was carrying the ball. From where he was lying down there on the field, it looked pretty impossible for the ball not to have crossed the plane. We'll take another look at it. Remember, it's the ball that has to cross the plane. Herschel getting great blocking up front. See where he's carrying the ball. Oh. Boy, that's a close call, Keith. We can't see the ball.
Third and goal. There it is. All Herschel did on that jump was leave a cleat mark on somebody's neck as he stepped on him and went over the top for the touchdown.
I just hope it wasn't one of his own teammates. You can't be too sure where you put your foot down when you're in a situation like that. Offensive line gets a good charge. You see they're beyond the goal line. Herschel comes up into the air. Yep. A little bit of a breaker and a little bit of a general. That's a big foot, too.
Ruzek for the point, Partridge the hold. Snap was low, but Partridge handled it all right for Ruzek, and the kick is good. So at 9:49 to go in the first half, the New Jersey Generals are making it look easy as they go out to a 21-0 lead over the Portland Breakers. Bozek will kick off, and once again, Lewis Jackson and Harold Ricks are deep to receive, and they're getting a lot of practice.
Yeah, more practice than they really want. They've returned every time to their right side, apparently thinking that it's a little weaker on that kickoff team's right side. We'll see where they go this time. They should have stayed right.
Jackson is brought down at the 12, and so nothing is going quite right for the Portland Breakers right now as New Jersey leads by 3 touchdowns. Generals have had the ball 3 times, scored 3 touchdowns.
And the time of possession, Keith, 4:39 on the first one, 5 minutes and 29 on the second, 5:11 in the third, and that's keeping the same kind of pace they had last week when they scored on 50% of their 8 possessions.
Lewis Jackson is in the backfield now with Vince Williams. Matt Robinson from the 12 drops to throw, gets it away. The pass is incomplete, intended for Dan Ross, I think. Robinson is 1 out of 7 now and been intercepted 1 time.
And Dan Ross is yelling at one of the officials. Obviously felt something was wrong. Dan Ross from the Cincinnati Bengals came to this ball club right there. He's probably what he's complaining about. Portland holding him and also getting a hand up on his face mask.
2nd and 10 for the Breakers. This is Jackson. And he's out to about the 15. And we get a ruckus. Dan Hurley, 62, and Lockett looked like got tangled up there for a minute. We had a lot of that stuff last week.
We sure did. I think it's the fact that the general defense has become a good deal more aggressive with a change in philosophy, Keith. You know, before they just sat back, did a lot of reading on the defensive line, then they attack people. But in the last few weeks, they're playing much more aggressively, attacking the offensive line, penetrating.
On 3rd and 7, they go to the shotgun. Robinson's pass is caught, drilled into Frank Lockett, and he's going to have a first down up at the 24. He took a lick. Ken Johnson took his legs from under him, and he came crashing down on his shoulder, but he held on to the ball.
We'll take another look at it. Kenny Johnson, number 32, is a man who's going to make the play here. He played a real good game last week. Of course, he had 1 shot on McGee last week. Ended up with his hand around McGee's head and slammed him to the turf. Had McGee looking for smelling salts on the sideline.
He got a concussion out of that, too.
Yeah.
First down for the Breakers. Little room to operate now. As Robinson drops. Pass is thrown underneath to Lewis Jackson, and Jackson's going to have about 9 yards before they wrestle him down. In the second quarter, it's 3-3 now. Memphis and Baltimore. Joe Restick now. That's Joe Jr. with Tim Brent.
The Breaker defense still trying to get it together, having some problems right now. Joe, what are the problems, and how can you stop them? What adjustments do you have to make?
Well, you have to give New Jersey a lot of credit right now. They're coming out and taking it to us. We're not getting adjusted out there. There are a lot of play passes, running Herschel Walker outside, and we're not being able to stop it. We just got to go out and settle down. We have the defenses to stop them. We're just not making the plays individually right now.
They're coming across the middle, and you guys, too, testing that middle with the crossing patterns.
They are. Of course, it's tough because then you have to defend against a rollout with Doug Flutie. He puts a lot of pressure on the corners. The linebackers are getting have to take care of the run fake, and the tight end's wide open coming across the middle.
All right, Joe. Keith?
Just short of their first down as they bring the chains out to measure. Dick Coury there. Mike Barry, the line coach, standing alongside of him.
Alert, blue 34-5 on the cover 2 look.
Talking to Dan Ross there.
Blue something. It's probably a pass play. Cover 2 is what he's referring to as a 2-deep defensive coverage and 5 people short zone underneath.
Second down, a half a yard.
On 2, ready? 528! 528! Ready! Get height!
There's your first down as Vince Williams carries for the first time. He's the big back, 6'4", 225 out of Oregon. And so the Breakers now pick up their second straight first down. 7 minutes to play in the first half, and they're down by 21-0. Lewis Jackson comes back now. Bale comes out. And so does Anthony Allen. And John Joyce is going to the clubhouse with an injured knee.
Let's just hope it's not too serious. He'll probably go in, take some x-rays.
Robinson gets it away. Pass is caught by Ross. That's a good catch by Dan Ross. It was a bullet thrown by Robinson. He had to throw it quickly because there was heat coming from Lockett. And Ross caught it in front of Preston.
Yeah, it's a real tough receiver. I know Dan Ross, from having played against him while with the Steelers, he was with the Bengals. I know the people in the Central Division were glad to see him gone because he always caused so much trouble with the opponents.
Dan came to the Breakers because he had gone to school at Northeastern, but when he signed with them, they moved to New Orleans. He bought a condominium in New Orleans, and they moved to Portland.
You want to see the country? Join the Breakers.
Robinson gets time, now gets it away, throws it underneath again to Williams, the big back, and Vince Williams brings it down to the 47 of New Jersey. So now Robinson, who had a slow, shaky start, has hit 4 in a row.
Well, the offense is now settling down, playing the kind of football they need to play to stay in this ball game and to start making a charge to come back from this 21-point deficit. They don't have the blazing fast receivers, but they've got a good one in Frank Lockett, more of a control receiver in Nolan Kranz. Dwight Beverly's a solid running back, but they've got to just be able to mix things up.
Actually,
Small offensive line has to be able to get position, good technique on their blocking.
Pass drilled by Robinson, caught again by Frank Lockett out of Nebraska, and he caught it right in front of Jerry Holmes, who dumped him. A note on the condition of John Joyce's knee from Tim Brandt.
Keith, I was talking with John just before they took him out of the field into the dressing room. He told me that he took a pretty good lick to the inside of the knee early in the ball game, tried to continue to go, but the knee felt very loose. It was wiggling around inside. He felt something could be loose in there. Didn't want to take any chances, so the doctor took him in. They're not going to let him play anymore today, but they are going to check out that knee.
It's going to be 2nd down and 1 for Portland. Got it! Williams has it, bangs it over the right side, and gets it down to the New Jersey 34 for the first down at 4.5 minutes to go in the first half. Breakers desperately need a touchdown here.
It's a big loss of John Joyce going out there, but take a look at the right side. Dan Ross, the tight end. The blocking they're doing right here, getting the people, the defensive line, off the line of scrimmage. And you notice the defensive line was standing up. They were kind of high because on that particular play, instead of just charging and being aggressive, they were reading, trying to see just where the ball was and what they were going to do before they took their action.
First down, Breakers, Generals 34. Penalty flag. Pass is intercepted. Ricochets off Ken Johnson and caught by John Preston. And a penalty flag could very well be a holding call against the Breakers.
I think it was either a holding call against the Breakers, Keith, or face mask.
Face mask. Number 72 on the offense. Penalty is declined. Take the result of the play. First down.
Lewis Bullard had a hold of a charging lineman's face mask, and so the call is against Portland, and Matt Robinson's been intercepted for the 2nd time in the ball game at 3:49 to play in the first half. 21-0. New Jersey has the ball back at their own 25. There's a Baltimore-Memphis score as the Stars have pulled even, 3-3. The ball game being played at College Park in Maryland. Flutie working on his best day. 6 out of 7, 125 yards and a touchdown. Maurice Carthen. Seal blocking off the left side was terrific by the Generals, and Carthen turns in a big play as he runs it out to the 42. Inside Carthen.
I started to say earlier, Keith, number 7 on that last play, number 73, Doug Mackey, the left tackle, hurt himself conveniently close to his own sideline, so he walked off to the side. I don't know what his injury is. There, seemed to be working on that shoulder. He's a quiet man, a very steady offensive lineman, very seldom makes a mistake.
Well, either somebody on the New Jersey side moved, or the Breakers trying to anticipate Flutie's snap count. got caught in the neutral zone, and I think it's the latter.
Few mistakes won't hurt this New Jersey team at this point in the ball
Offside,
game.
number 73, defense, take the penalty.
They take the penalty, which should give them a first down.
That's Larry McLean. Just got off to a quick start there. Just came into the ball game. Doug Flutie composed, poised, with just over 2 minutes to play here in the first half. Did not come under any criticism last week for his performance because Herschel Walker did all the work. 2-minute warning now given to both sides. And
the New Jersey Generals lead the Portland Breakers by a score of 21-0 at Giant Stadium at the Meadowlands. And right now the Generals are simply controlling the football game off 2 Portland turnovers. Well, the Portland Breakers have got a problem. They have not been able to stop the New Jersey Generals' ground game, and as a result, Doug Flutie is having one of his best days. They're down by 3 touchdowns, and here sets New Jersey now, first down at the Portland 48. 2 minutes to go, first half. Flutie throws it underneath to Walker, and a good open field tackle that time by Greg Storr, number 57, who incidentally was a member of the Boston College Eagles when Doug Flutie was there. Storr now having gotten out of school a year ahead of Doug Flutie. They project the nil. Second down, 7. This is Carthen. And Carthen is brought down at about the 42. They've got to go just inside the 38. They'll need 4 yards.
Greg Storr said they remember Doug Flutie as just the little guy playing back in Boston.
Run!
Walker has the first down. Boy, I tell you, when Herschel makes up his mind to run north and south, he can flat do it, can he?
He sure can. This is the best I've seen him run since maybe he was a freshman or a sophomore, Keith, at Georgia. You know, last year he had the shoulder problems and he was always looking for the big run. Walt Michaels is trying to teach him to run that north and south route, take on people, not always look for the touchdown.
Flutie on the first down, sets up the screen for Walker. And Herschel goes from the 35 to about the 30, a 5-yard pickup. Well, that shoulder injury came about in the Sugar Bowl game against Notre Dame. And he sat on the sidelines for a while. They worked on the shoulder, got it back in place. He went back and played in the football game. But ever since then, he's had shoulder troubles. But they fixed it with surgery.
Let's go, D!
That's what we have for you at halftime. We'll have highlights from last night's Birmingham-Oakland game, and that trip into the Breakers locker room might be, well, we might have some stunning oratory.
You betcha.
Second down and 5. Flutie dumps it off for Walker. It should have been intercepted. Joe Resnick had it, boy. I don't know why he didn't catch it.
That's because his eyes got real big and he could see himself running down the sideline untouched for a surprise touchdown, picking off this pass. He reads the play extremely well, and he comes in the right position. He just, Keith, lost his concentration, probably just got too eager with the excitement of having been able to pick it off.
3rd and 5. Flutie goes underneath again to Walker, and Herschel has the first down as he fights his way on down to the 20. He's a load.
That's right.
Joe Resnick is hurt on the play. He's got to come out of the ball game. And New Jersey now calls time. They have 1 remaining with 33 seconds to play in the first half. They're trying to get some more points.
You may have noticed how the USFL has attracted top quality players like Heisman Trophy winners Doug Flutie and Herschel Walker. Boy, can they play. But they can do more than play in the USFL. Like we can do this. And this. Check us out. The USFL, where football is still a game.
The preceding message was furnished by the United States Football League.
33 seconds remaining to play in the first half. And it's first down, New Jersey, just inside the 21 of Portland. Generals have been totally dominant. Flutie rolls it out and throws it in the end zone. Throws it away. He's looking for Collins. And Clarence Collins was well covered by Bruce Miller.
And the defensive line did a good job also of cutting off the avenues for Doug Flutie to take off and run. Controlled him that time. You heard Joe Restick, who's now back into the ball game after coming out because he took a shot in his back, say that there's a lot of things to think about for his team defensively with all the things that New Jersey could do. But I think one thing you have to remember when you're playing this game, you don't worry about the other team can do until they actually do it to you.
Pressure this time on Flutie, and they've got him behind the line of scrimmage as Greg Storr, number 57, was looping in from an outside linebacking position. And so they dump Flutie back on the 27th, and 21 seconds now to play in the first half. That's the final timeout for New Jersey.
26 yards, yeah.
Gee, Greg Storr looked like he was having a little conversation with his old Boston College teammate. He was getting up from that pile.
Well, considering it's 21-0, I don't know if I'd be doing a lot of talking.
Breaker football player that's from that Ohio area, Marcus Merritt, linebacker, who this team misses sorely. They lost him first game of the season against the Arizona Wranglers. He has a sore left knee, but he is with the team on the sideline today watching them play. Said he wanted to play dearly this week in this particular ball game, but the coaches decided to hold him back, let him wait. But he says he should be back in the lineup, Keith, next week.
Memphis is going to hit a Baltimore 10-3 in the second quarter. Lewis to Crawford. And Baltimore lost William Fuller. He's thrown out of the game for fighting. 21 seconds to play now. Third down. And back goes Flutie out of the shotgun from the 27. Goes to the corner of the end zone. Intending the pass for Sam Bowers, and Sam can't get. He ran out of real estate. Even if he caught the ball, he'd been out of bounds.
Yeah, he made the good effort. He knew he was close. That's why he stretched out for it. You'll see here the coverage is very good. There's no need to try and go for this ball and knock it away. See there Sam stretching out. He's a tall man, but he's not that tall.
So on fourth down, Roger Ruzek is in for a 44-yard field goal try. And Roger has made only 2 field goals in the first 7 games of this season. His longest having been 39 yards. Partridge gets a good snap down. Plenty of leg on it. He got it. So with 11 seconds to play in the first half, referee Tom White signals good, and it's 24-0 now, New Jersey.
Everything working extremely well for the Generals.
Here, Matt. We get any kind of filter, then let's go Geronimo with it.
Sid Corey
calls it Geronimo. Some folks call it Hail Mary. Frank Broad says throw it up for scrambles and see what happens.
Yeah. Talking about Indians right now.
Got to regroup, that's all.
It might be Little Bighorn here.
The New Jersey Generals' next ball game will be at Memphis, and it sounds like Pepper Rogers folks coming into Baltimore trying to snap their 4-game losing string. Against Memphis, however, I might say, the New Jersey Generals will be looking at a big defensive team led by Reggie White, so it'll be a little different challenge for them against Memphis.
Don't match them up size for size, and Reggie White, who is the key to the Memphis defensive line, will of course be on the right side of that New Jersey offensive line, which is the key to their offensive attack.
Ruzek's kick is high and quite short, taken by Ricks at the 13. And Harold Ricks gets back out to about the 25. He's a rookie out of Tennessee, Chattanooga. So they'll have 1 snap, 7 seconds to go in the first half.
Now when they come out, the defensive team for New Jersey, when they come out for this play, realizing that Boston. I started to call them Boston, Keith. I can call them Boston, New Orleans, or Portland, right?
Yep.
The Breakers, when they line up, will try and go for the big play. Watch how far back that secondary gets. I mean, they're going to be about 20 yards off the line of scrimmage. Can't even see them in this picture. They're so far back. Looking for the big play.
That's Beverly. Across the 30 to the 32, and that'll do it. The first half is over at Giant Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, and it's been all New Jersey so far. Generals lead it 24-0. Back with the halftime activities after this message and a word from our local station. Games completed Friday night and last night in the USFL. The Jacksonville Bulls got a pretty good ball game out of Larry Mason, as you can see, to beat the San Antonio Gunslingers and snap their 2-game win streak at 28-17. So the Bulls getting a victory. Brighten things for them, and you saw the Memphis Showboats had gone out in front of the Baltimore Stars by a score of 10-3. And last night, in a ball game played in Birmingham on Save Our Stallions night, the Stallions were successful. It's been a week dedicated in the city to saving the ball club because the principal owner, Marvin Warner, had pulled out because of financial problems. They had a crowd of 44,500. Birmingham scored on the first 2 possessions. Joe Cribbs here going in from 9 yards. He had 94 for the game, best of the season. Quarterback Cliff Stout ran it in for 8 yards on the second possession, making it 14-0. You notice that Cliff Stout's right elbow is all wrapped up. He had an operation on that elbow last year, trouble with a bursa sac in it, and then banged it on this particular play last night, and it got all swelled up on him, so they had to wrap it nice, and Cliff sat out the rest of the ball game, and his immediate future is not known. The Oakland quarterback Bobby Hebert was intercepted twice by Birmingham's Chuck Clanton. Clanton now totals 10 interceptions in just 8 ball games. He had 10 for the season a year ago. It's a second straight loss for Oakland. They're now 4-3-1 in the West, and the Birmingham Stallions 6-2 and guaranteed at least a share of the leadership in the East for another week. They play Tampa Bay next Sunday after Tampa Bay plays tomorrow night against Denver. Well, let's talk about this ball game. Pretty obvious, huh?
There's not a whole lot to say, folks. I'm sorry to tell you. It's been the New Jersey General show. And Walt Michaels has found, I think, the working combination for his offensive team. And as much as the offensive line is starting to blow people off the line of scrimmage, he's given the ball more to Herschel Walker and Maurice Carthen. And Herschel told me before the game, this is what he's been asking for. He wanted to carry the ball more. But they were concentrating on trying to give the ball to Doug Flutie, to promote and market Doug Flutie as the hero of this ball club. They were missing the boat on how to win ball games.
Well, Flutie hooked up here with Clarence Collins on a 44-yard play as the Portland Breakers secondary people got confused on that particular one, and Clarence was all by himself when he stepped out of bounds. And then they get an offside penalty against the Portland Breakers, which gives New Jersey a second chance from a yard away, and Herschel Walker goes in for the touchdown and a 7-0 lead.
Now, for an emotional football team, when the Breakers stopped the Jersey Generals right there in that line of scrimmage, that could have been a big play for them to turn things around. But with the penalty, gave New Jersey the score and put themselves deeper in the hole.
Flutie again involved here as he hooks up with the tight end, number 81, Speck, and it's good for 24 yards and Jeff's first touchdown catch of the season, which made the score 14-0.
That's a fine adjustment by Jeff Speck, as he told us in the interview with Tim Brandt. It's not the pattern he was supposed to run, but he saw the opening, and he didn't run just to be covered. He found that open spot as the defense had played him well.
New Jersey dominating the ball game in the first half, controlling the clock as well as the ball. Herschel Walker here will go in from a yard out to make it a 21-0 New Jersey lead.
Now, most teams will figure if they can score on half their possessions, Keith, they're doing fairly well and get 9 or 10 or 12 possessions in the ball game. So far, the New Jersey Generals have possessed the football 4 times and have come away with 3 touchdowns and a field goal.
And the field goal was a 44-yarder by Roger Ruzek to make your score at halftime. New Jersey 24 and Portland nothing. Now, I don't know what in the world you can say in your locker room when you're down 24-0, but I do know Dick Corey. He is an inventive man, a most persuasive person, and we'll go into that locker room right after this. At the college level, perhaps when you're down by 24-0, you can believe that there might be a Walter Mitty in your lineup, and with a break or two, you might come back and get something. Well, in professional football, certainly it is possible to, but not as likely as it is at the collegiate level. And so far, the New Jersey Generals just simply haven't made mistakes, and they didn't make very many last week.
They have controlled this ball game for the first half. Well, I recall last year watching the New Orleans Breakers at the time play against Chicago, and they played extremely well and came back from behind.
What do you say? Let's go find out as Dick Corey talks to his team.
3 and out, D.
Okay, kickoff coverage team, right, Coach? Get down, stop them, be alert for anything tricky, get them stopped. Defense, get the ball back, get them stopped. Get a turnover if we can, get them stopped. Don't let them get on the board so the offense gets that ball at 24-0. Offense, got to take the ball the first drive and score. Got to get 3 or 6 on the first drive. Look, guys, we've been down before. We were down in this very stadium like this. We've been down here before. Keep your heads and play together. Everybody, play a little bit harder. Dig down a little bit deeper. Play a little bit harder this half. All of us, coaches and players. Let's get our heads up and go get it. Let's go. Get your heads up. Let's go. 3 plays. That's 3 plays.
Come on. We're going to try to sit on it.
3 big plays.
We're going to try to sit on that team. Let's go. Right back in it.
Let's go, Breakers. Let's go, guys.
At every level of athletics,
Heads up,
I don't
let's go to
care
work.
whether you're a professional, I don't care if you've been in it 25 years, if you're just starting, or if you're playing even at the high school or even less than that. Whatever level it is, there is one thing that is very important, and that is to remember your personal pride. And I think that's what Dick Corey is appealing to there and keeping your head up.
Yeah, he didn't want them to get too down on themselves because the score is 24-0. Wants them to know that in the second half of football, they are capable of coming out and stopping this team in their tracks and then putting points on the scoreboard. And that's what they have to believe. If you don't believe you've got the ability to win football games, to move, to change things when they are not going in your favor, then you will be lost in the second half of every football game that you play.
All right, Tim Brandt was a defensive football player, and he's been in the position where you're looking at the kind of an offensive attack that the New Jersey Generals are taking to the Portland Breakers. A comment from you, Tim.
Keith, I'm just walking out of here now with the Breakers, and you know, when you look at what they did defensively in the first half, it was almost nil. I sat in on the defensive meeting in that locker room, and they're not only talking about pride, but they're just talking about putting some helmets on some people, which they haven't done in the first half. Fly around recklessly, get to the football, have some pursuit, try to force those turnovers. You know, if you look at their cornerbacks, they really have been playing soft on the corners. They've been giving up the seam. There hadn't been a whole lot of pressure on Flutie, and they've got to do that. They just, quite frankly, have not played very well defensively, and they've got to come out now and just fly to that football. They've got to forget everything that's happened and just try to force some turnovers. And you're going to see a lot more tackling of the football now, too. There was some of that talk, and they almost have to do that now.
Matt Robinson is warming up, getting ready for the second half. Herschel Walker went for 115 yards, total yardage, running and catching in the first half. We'll be back after this message and a word from our local stations. Doug Flutie will be pulling the trigger on the first possession of the second half as Portland will kick off to New Jersey. Kenny Potter has just joined the team. Will do the kicking off. High sailing kick that goes to Rod Pegues, who's just coming back from a concussion. And Pegues is across the 20 to the 21. And Portland now will send out their defensive unit. It's the same unit as we look at them going out on the field at the start of the ball game. And the same goes for the New Jersey Generals as Walker and Carthen come out behind Flutie. Flutie, 9 out of 13 for 143 yards and a touchdown in the first half. Walker ran for 77 yards on 18 carries and scored twice. Here is the real test of this ball game right here. They'll take the ball away from New Jersey. Herschel Walker, and he is tripped up as he came slashing over the left side. Allen Hughes tripped him, and if Allen doesn't get a piece of him as he goes by, he might have gone for a long run.
I don't know if it was Allen or a tall blade of AstroTurf that got him that time. Same thing that got young Ken Potter when he came off. Allen Hughes was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers back in 1982, I believe it was, or didn't make the ball club there. We'll talk a bit more about him later on.
Second down and 6. Walker picked up 4. Flutie did not complete the handoff to Walker. Looked like Doug lost control of the ball just before he was able to get it in Walker's stomach. And Ben Needham pounced on him.
Well, you heard the coach, Dick Corey, talk about 3 downs and out, stopping the offense of New Jersey Generals in 3 plays and forcing them to punt. Right now, they're looking at a 3rd and long situation. He may have the first part of his halftime speech realized here if they make the play.
3rd and 9. Moody out of the shotgun. Little dump pass out in front to Harmon out of the backfield, and Clarence Harmon picks up the first down for the New Jersey Generals by a yard. The Portland secondary dropped off. The linebackers cleared out as well, and all of a sudden Harmon came drifting out of the backfield, and there was nobody there.
Well, they just had a very simple rush on there, having most of the people trying to drop back, get into their zones for coverage to prevent them from picking up the first down, which left a lot of room for the short pass. We'll take a look at the first half stats. As you expected, everything is being dominated by the New Jersey Generals. Turnovers have been key.
On first down from the 32. Herschel rolling along toward at least 100 yards at this current pace today. And he picks up about 5 yards on that carry. Doug Woodward is warming up on the sidelines for the Portland Breakers now. We might see Woodward. He started the season when Johnny Walton retired, and Robinson came in. A little stronger arm, younger. Problem right now for Portland is stop New Jersey. A jump on Maurice Carthen that time. Carthen hit first by Allen Hughes. And Flutie and company now be looking at 3rd down and about 4.5, close to 5 yards. New Jersey has converted in this ball game 8 out of 10 3rd down plays.
That's a 3 ahead of their 50% 3rd down efficiency percentage. Corey yelling at his team for the big down, trying to give them a little bit of a lift out there.
488!
Pass to Broughton, and Walter Broughton makes the catch at the 45-yard line, and that's a first down. He made the catch in front of Lindell Jones.
That makes them 9 for 11 on 3rd down. That time the defense of the Breakers took a little bit of a chance. They blitzed. You see the linebackers all flying in there, man-to-man coverage. And Broughton just runs a very short, simple route to the sideline. Used it very well, the sideline that is, to come up with the 3rd down catch.
24-0, the Generals are leading and dominating, controlling the ball and the clock. Walker. Big hole on the right side for Herschel Walker. And he slants it inside the 40 and goes down at the 37 of Portland. Scotty Byers and Bruce Miller finally got him, but Maurice Carthen, watch this hole open up on this right side now. See Carthen lay a man down?
Yeah, everybody driving them off, and Scotty Byers, he gets a free ride on this bus without having to pay for a ticket.
And Walker now has 105 yards on 21 carries.
Right! All right! Cross!
All day for Flutie. And the pass sails high, and Collins can't put it down. He had to loop it to Collins.
Oh, he had to loop it. Bruce Miller, number 40, who plays a left cornerback, was in that same flat zone, and had he fired one in there, he could have just come right across and picked it off. So he tried to loop it, hoping that his receiver could go up in the air so that Bruce Miller wouldn't pick it off. Clarence Collins goes up in the air, gets one hand on it. You see right there, he gets one hand on it but can't bring it down. And that was Miller, who was right in front of him.
2nd down and 10. Walker at the 35 for 2. So it'll be 3rd and 8. Well, Portland's defense has had its chance now. They've had successive third and reasonably long calls here, but each time they've made it with the forward pass.
It'll be interesting to see here if the defense decides to blitz to try and put more pressure on Flutie and play man-to-man coverage, which is taking a chance as Herschel Walker is flipped to the left.
That might get a penalty flag. I think Portland encroached on the play. They make the play all right on third down, but they got a sneaking hunch they're going to get dinged 5 yards for being in the neutral zone.
Which will bring up about, let's say, third down and about 3 along.
All sides, left side of the line, defense, third down.
You'll see it here once again. Player just jumps a little bit. Looks like Kenny Neal.
Hurting themselves.
And you see it there reflected in that swing of the arm by Dick Cord.
Now, instead of being 3rd and 8, it's 3rd and about a short 4.
Jam, baby. 288.
Flutie back. Walker in the short zone has the ball for a first down. Throwing it underneath again to Walker, circling out of the backfield or out of that slot back position where he had lined up. And Greg Storr brings him down, but he's got the yardage at the 23.
Now we've seen on a couple of occasions, Keith, when it looked like Doug Flutie might scramble. He stepped up to run, but he's always found a running back that's been in the short zone, either right in front of the pocket or off to the side. I think that's a little bit of the coaching scheme now to reflect his scrambling ability and also put someone in that area to prevent any mistakes.
Arthur to the 16. So 3 times New Jersey has been looking at a third down play, and 3 times they have converted it. Now they're looking at second down, 4.
Keith, I have never been in a ball game or have ever watched a ball game where a team has scored on every possession.
What's the matter, Larry? Larry.
Today might be the day. Arthur. Howard McAdoo, number 58 in at linebacker, makes the stop.
Turnover! 7 minutes. Come on, Joe!
You see him complaining about not how far they're going, but the fact that they used up 7 minutes already in this drive. They took the opening kickoff. It's now 7:48 and counting in the third quarter.
It's a first down at the Portland 12.
Left! 356,
Walker comes around the corner, and this time they cover him pretty well. He might have picked up a yard or so.
That's one of the few times in the ball game, Keith, that the defensive line plays game plan has been effective. The game plan is, of course, for them to get across that line of scrimmage to cut off the avenues of running for Herschel Walker and Maurice Carthen, to either string the play out or stop it very quickly.
No gain for Herschel on that carry.
Tight left! 424!
Walker again. Hit at the line of scrimmage, but his leg strength carries him for 2 to the 10. McAdoo again making the stop. McAdoo played in the ball game against Los Angeles in the game won by Portland over the Express, and he played a sensation game. And he's in here now, and he's come up with 2 successive hits.
This defensive team came in as the number 3 team against the rush in the USFL. Had a very tough game against LA Express when they were determined to run against them, and they couldn't. Today's a different story.
Flutie gives it to Walker, and they've got Herschel pinned up right around the 10, and again it's Howard McAdoo leading the charge. You could see him stepping up into the crease. McAdoo got a shoulder pad on Walker and wrestled him down.
I am surprised. Obviously the strategy was to run the draw and take advantage of what was an obvious passing situation. I thought for sure they would have had Doug Flutie roll out, take advantage of his running ability to put more pressure on. In any case, it brings out Roger Ruzek for the field goal try.
28-yard kick. Ball is going to be marked just inside the 18. Probably go in the book as a 27-yarder. Ruzek hits it and nails it. So we start out. Portland kicks off to the Generals. The Generals march down, get a field goal to lead 27-0, and only 5:28 remaining on the third quarter clock. As you can see, the New Jersey Generals have scored every time they've had the ball so far in this ballgame.
And on that last possession, Keith, they consume 9 minutes and 32 seconds on the clock.
Ruzek kicks off. Hangs up there for Ricks at the 5. And Harold Ricks comes across the 30, out near the 31. Good return by the rookie out of Tennessee, Chattanooga. Kyle Boland brought him down. Finally, the Breakers get the ball in the third quarter. If the Portland Breakers are to have any hope in this ball game, they've got to start right now. 5:18 to go in the third quarter. Time of possession totally New Jersey's, but in total plays, the Generals have run 51 plays in the ball game, and Portland only 20.
If they're going to score, they had better do it quickly because New Jersey is not giving them much time.
Matt Robinson loops it downfield and intended for Nolan Franz. Pass is incomplete and a penalty flag is thrown.
I don't know whether Nolan Franz from Tulane didn't see that pass or if he felt it was just too far away to make the effort to go after it. Looked like if he had laid out, dove for that pass, he might have had a chance for it.
Offside call against the Generals. It'll be first down and 5.
Double right, 16-17, check with me.
Oh, fuck him up. Both Lynn Matson and Tom
right, 16 or 17.
Gilbert, defensive lineman. Tom Woodland, catching the Freddie Gilbert. Both out of this ball game with injuries. But the defense is still playing extremely well for the Generals.
Hand the ball to the big back, Williams. And Vince Williams held just short of the 40. The man that snaps it for the New Jersey Generals is Kent Hull. He's with Tim Brandt right now.
Keith, the story of the game has been the offensive potence, I guess, of the Generals. They've dominated the line of scrimmage. Has it been easier, Kent, than you thought it would be against the Breakers?
Yeah, it has been, quite easy. We went out, we knew we had to control the ball and in order to keep their offense off the field, and we wanted to establish a running game early. And so far, we've been able to score every time we've had the ball, and things have been working good for us.
Okay, thanks, Keith. Big guy out of Mississippi State. They go back to Williams again, and Williams on second down and 1 runs for the first down up across the 45, close to the 47. John Preston and Kyle Boland on the tackle. Number 25 is Lewis Jackson coming into the game.
Tim Brandt can hear me. He's still on that sideline. As Hull is anywhere needed, Tim, I wonder if he feels the offensive line has benefited and are able to control that line of scrimmage much easier because of the way Herschel has been running the last 2 ball games.
Lynn Swan wants to know if it's any easier for you guys, just the way Herschel's been running the football. Has that made things easier on the linemen?
Oh, sure it has. We don't feel like there's anybody over there that can arm tackle either one of our running backs. All we have to do is just maintain our blocks and stay up and let them do the rest. And it makes our job a lot easier.
So even without a big punch, just a cutoff block can free Herschel?
Right. They can't sit up there and arm tackle either one of our running backs. Herschel almost is.
Okay, Swanee.
Thanks, Timmy.
48-yard line of New Jersey. Second down.
Matt, 50-51.
About 5.
Blue 50. Blue 51. Blue 51.
Robinson throws it away.
He had number 96, James Lockett, and number 52, Mike Weddington, in his face. He had a receiver coming across the center of the field. I think it was number 87, David Bale. And he just put the ball out there in that flat territory as opposed to taking the sack, which leaves him with a 3rd and 5 situation as opposed to a 3rd and 10 or 12.
Get the first down, 2nd and 4.
Rip.
There's the first down. The pass is caught by Dino Hall. Hall is only 5'7", 165. Played with the Cleveland Browns for 5 years, but he pulls it down in front of Preston. And the Breakers keep the ball as they pick up the first down.
Dino Hall and Doug Flutie have a lot in common, or at least they see things from the same perspective. Anyway, the little guy gets to the outside, gets good position on Preston, who's one of the toughest hitters on this defensive secondary. And the timing was perfect between he and Robinson. As he turns around, the ball is right there, and he makes the big 3rd down catch.
Ready!
From the 41. That's Nolan Kranz with the catch, and another first down for the Portland Breakers as he reaches the 29. The time remaining in the 3rd quarter now, dwindling away. It's at 2:20 and counting.
Keith, I want to make one point, especially for our viewers at home who are watching, the success of this one particular drive for the Breakers. Now, the reason why they're having success is because the secondary and the defensive unit is now playing a little bit easier. They don't want to give up the big play. They're giving them more room, playing a much more relaxed ball game.
On a draw with Vince Williams, the big back, breaking loose and picking up a first down inside the 20. He pounds his way down to about the 16 before Ken Johnson finally brings it down. Kenny grabbing a hold of that 225-pounder.
And of course, when your defense is playing that loose, it gives the offense much more of a chance to do things. We see here the offensive line comes out, does a good job, but again, the defensive line was standing up. They're reading. He gets into the secondary, makes a good run, but it's brought down by Kenny Johnson.
Ball is just inside the 17. First down, Breakers. Less than a minute and a half to go down the 3rd quarter. Pass is intercepted in the end zone. Picked off by Jerry Holmes. The ball was deflected by Kyle Borland, and there's a penalty flag following the melee. But it was Borland who slapped the ball down as Robinson tried to rifle it.
Roughing the passer. 52. Defense.
Break for the Breakers.
Finally.
Mike Weddington is flagged for roughing the passer.
Go to 8, guys.
And so the interception is wiped off, and the Breakers will keep the ball.
There were a couple of plays, Keith, passing plays in this drive where it looked very close as to whether a late hit could be called against the New Jersey Generals. There you see the ball clearly thrown. No one seemed to be around him yet. Contact was made well, and you saw the flag just fly there well after the ball was thrown away.
So that is definitely a break for Portland, because where Robinson threw that thing, he had almost no chance of completing it.
Watch him now, B.
So it's 1st and goal, the ball at the 8. Incomplete, intended for David Bale. The defensive play by Gregory Johnson, and a good one.
Very good one. Great. Bales is open there for a second. David Bale, he had a good angle on Gregory Johnson. But you watch here as Gregory Johnson just comes right out in front with that right arm to knock the ball away at the last second. That's a real tough play because a defensive back has to get positioned to get in front of the ball, in front of the receiver, get a hand out there, and try not to touch the receiver. Of course, it looked like he might have had a hand on the net time.
2nd down and goal from the 8. They run it up the middle with Williams, and there's not much there.
When a defensive line, Keith, reads a play and they don't charge upfield aggressively, it's very difficult to get a good draw play run against them.
Dan Ross comes back into the lineup now for the Portland Breakers. The ball is at the 7. It is 3rd down and goal. They are trailing 27-0 in this ball game. And the clock is now rolling at 15 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. the 15. That's only 30 sacks of a Breaker quarterback in 3 years. But it came at a big moment for the New Jersey Generals. And the clock stops now with 3 seconds to play in the third quarter. And they're looking at 4th and goal.
Number 74, the right defensive end, is Jim Byrne. You see right there, he's being double teamed. Lockett comes around the outside, takes a man away from him, frees him up to his outside. He's got a good alley and a good shot on Matt Robinson.
So the time now expires after the third quarter. Portland is apparently going to try a field goal as we start the final period. And we will continue after this message and a word from our local station. And Dick Corey now has changed his mind. Mazzetti will not kick. They're down 27-0 going into the fourth quarter. They'll go for it on 4th and goal from the 15 after the quarterback sack. Into the corner, no. Dwight Beverly was over there and had no chance to get to it as Bobby Leopold was all over him. And the New Jersey Generals turned the Portland Breakers aside on the first play of the fourth quarter. And the score remains 27-0 New Jersey. And now we'll see whether or not the Generals can continue to control the ball. See that Herschel Walker has again been a dominant figure in the ball game, and his totals are greater than that of the Portland Breakers in this game. Herschel has had 109 running and 35 throwing. So it's first down from the 15 for the New Jersey Generals, and Rod Pegues is now the deep back. Walker is not in there. Pegues has it and pops it, fumbles it. And Portland may have it. I say may because Collins dove in there but can't get it. And so Pegues breaks a big play, runs it all the way from the 15 to the 50, then fumbles it as Restic hit him and grabbed the ball away from him, and they forced the turnover.
Well, this ends the perfect record for the New Jersey Generals. That record of obviously scoring on every possession, although that was a great run by the young Rod Pegues.
At 14:46 to play in the ball game, Portland's ball at midfield. Robinson gives to Williams, and that's good for close to 4 yards.
Keith, our statistician here, David Burnson, just gave me a card that said that no team has ever scored on every possession of a game in the modern era of football. And today will not be an exception.
The attendance today, 38,245. Second down, 6 for the Breakers. Matt Robinson has not had a good day. Throws that ball to Vince Williams, and Williams is shoved out of bounds just short of the 40. He had to get just beyond the 40 to get his first down, so he's going to be just a tad short.
46 base. Get him in now, Matt. Measure it. Measure it, Matt.
It's not a first down, I'll guarantee you. He's asking for a measurement, but they're not going to.
On the line?
They're not going to give it to him, because it's not. Inches for the first down. They give it to Beverly, and Beverly gets the first down and then takes a lick from John Preston. Well, next Sunday on our presentation of the USFL, it'll be either Tampa Bay at Birmingham or Houston at Arizona. Tampa Bay is playing tomorrow night against Denver. Birmingham won their ball game. Houston Gamblers playing the Los Angeles Express later today. And Arizona has Orlando at home. Here's a little swing pass out to the right side. That one is caught by Frank Lockett, and it's a pickup of a little more than 8 yards. So once again, the Breakers are moving the ball, but the New Jersey General defense is making them nickel and dime it.
That's true. And while the defense is on the field, I want to take a moment to talk about Jim LeClaire, who did retire this week. after 14 years of playing professional football, driving back home to Cincinnati where his family is still living, did not have them join him in New Jersey during the season.
Oh, man, run it!
They cut Williams back into the middle, and Williams gets it down to the 16, where it'll be a Portland Breaker first down at 12 minutes and 35 seconds to play in the ball game.
Jimmy, of course, had a shoulder and neck injury, Keith, this season, and the doctors had told him that if he continued to play, that in later years there might be a problem as far as arthritis, and he could be really severely injured. So he made a decision to call it quits in the middle of the second year here for the Jersey Generals. And I think he's probably had one of the finest and longest careers of any linebacker I've ever come to know.
Robinson on the first down goes for Lewis Jackson out of the backfield, and Jackson had no chance at it. He was well out in front of him. Joe Restic Sr., the coach of Harvard, in the crowd today, watching his son play. He was telling me that Joe Jr. is thinking about hanging up his dental shingle out in Portland. He likes that Northwest so much. He's an outdoorsman, hunting and fishing and so forth. And if you like that kind of stuff, that's the place.
Yeah, Joe Restic was talking about the fishing out there, Keith, and the big Chinook you can go out there and catch. He's been out almost every week on his off day. He hasn't caught one yet.
Well, they're not that easy, I know. Second down and 10. Robinson on a quarterback draw, gets away, and gets hammered. Down around inside the 17-yard line. Gregory Johnson stayed at home and waited for him. They almost had Robinson back of the line of scrimmage.
Robinson did a good job of getting away from people. Freddie Gilbert wanted him at the line of scrimmage. But when he gets downfield, he's looking for Roger Lavesa. He's running behind the center, and the center just misses that block on Johnson and leaves him. Robinson gets nailed.
Got to go to the 16 to keep the ball. Give it to Beverly, and Beverly is inside the 15 to the 14. So that'll be another breaker first down. But the clock definitely the ally of the New Jersey Generals now in this final quarter, rolling right along. And when you're having to nickel and dime your way downfield like this, you don't want to spend your time out, and you're simply not going to be able to stop the clock. They need some big plays, and they have not been able to get them.
Not at all.
Yeah. Black 98.
From the 14.
Black 98. Ready. Get height. Get height.
Robinson was looking for Lockett and ran out of time as Leopold fought his way from the inside and makes the sack. Well, that's the second sack of the ball game on Robinson. The ball comes back to the 24. It's a loss of 10.
Keith, he got in there so fast, there had to be some kind of game or maybe even a little stunt on the line of scrimmage. Somebody just missed that block, but Bobby Leopold was in there with very little time for Matt Robinson to even look downfield, let alone find anybody open.
On the obvious passing play now, Freddie Gilbert's back in there at a defensive end spot. This is his specialty. Out of the shotgun, second down, 20. Anthony Allen, the intended receiver, and the ball is thrown just beyond him in front of Terry Daniels. So it is. Robinson has been off just that much all day long.
The passes just seem to be inches away from the reach of the receivers. But Keith, I don't see any of the receivers making a big effort to go after the football either.
That is now 11 out of 23 for 86 yards. And he's looking at third down and 20 from the 24 of New Jersey. Gets it off just as he's hit. Penalty flag goes down. Nolan Franz had the ball in his hands, but as he came down, it came out. Let's see about the flag as Robinson is knocked groggy. He gets up very slowly.
Jim Byrne was pointing to Roger Lavesa, the center for the Portland defense, as if to say, you got caught for a holding.
Holding, 63, offense, turn on your decline, fourth down.
Brings up 4th down as they decline the penalty. Big Roger out of Oregon State.
We'll take a look at it right here. That's Roger Levesa right there. Jim Byrne coming in. You see he's got him right there behind the back. It looks like a takedown. Looks like he grabbed him by the front of the jersey as he's going down and just pulled him to the ground as Freddie Gilbert laid a hit on Matt Robinson.
Portland spending a timeout. They have 2 remaining with 10:03 to play in the game. Well, they've had the long conversation on the sideline. The Portland Breakers. Matt Robinson shakes off the whacking that he took. And it brings up 4th down now. The ball is at the 24.
I could probably condense that conversation on the sideline to a few words, Keith. Score, baby, just score.
Find a way. They've got Anthony Allen in motion. Goes to the end zone for Allen. He's got it. A heck of a catch by Anthony Allen. Ross Armstrong and Terry Daniels were both right there. And he just simply whipped them to get the ball and the touchdown.
Keith was a perfect example of what I said the receivers for the Breakers haven't been doing for Robinson all day. The balls have been just off, but right here he just goes up for it. He knows he's going to take a shot. He just goes up in the air, grabs the ball, and hangs onto it with a little help from the side of his helmet.
So the Breakers finally get on the scoreboard, and Mazzetti, is he going to come or are they going to go for 2? It'll be Mazzetti. He missed his first extra point try last week after he'd hit 83 in a row in the USFL. The carryover from the NFL days for Mazzetti, he was well past 100 consecutive place kicks.
You see there what I meant by a little help from his helmet, Keith. Caught it in his hands, but used his helmet to keep it in there.
Mazzetti hits the point. Anthony Allen had just come over to the Portland Breakers a couple of weeks ago. So at 9:56 to play in the ball game, they finally got on the scoreboard, and it's 27-7.
Baby raccoon.
We'll take another look. Give him more credit for this catch, Keith, because it's an obvious passing situation, and people were waiting for him. But under the pressure, he still goes up. He makes a catch. The ball starts to slip away, but he feels it, pulls it in, and holds on to it on the side of his head. Happy young man.
There's a professional football league that believes having fun is the most important business at hand. The USFL, where football is still a game.
The preceding message was furnished by the United States Football League.
The New Jersey Generals are expecting onside kick now from Kenny Potter. They've got linebackers, receivers up on the line, but he kicks it away. And Rod Pegues is back there all by himself, sort of like a 9-iron at the 9-yard line. Pegues picked it up at the 7 and comes back to about the 23.
Let's go, D! Let's go!
You've got 9 minutes and 46 seconds to play in the ball game, and the Breakers have yet to prove they can stop New Jersey. The New Jersey Generals will start just short of their 23 with Rod Pegues still in the ball game. He broke the big play a few minutes ago, and then the ball was taken stripped from him and taken away at midfield.
Also out of the ball game are Wayne Harris and Doug Mackey and, of course, Herschel Walker. Some of the people getting a rest. Mackey was slightly injured in the first half of this game.
Carthon remains the lone back and has the ball coming off the corner. And he is a punishing back. Having to come up and make the hit is Scotty Byers, who played originally with the Los Angeles Express out of Cal State Long Beach. Byers at 5'11", 185, comes up and hits Carthon, who's a 220-pounder, and Maurice will really punish it.
Yeah, see, when you play in the defense, Keith, you have to hit people. I mean, that's your job to stop them. That's why I was an offensive ball player. We didn't have to hit anybody. Except when you were blocking, and I never did that very often.
You got that right.
That's right.
Moody on a roll to the double wide side, wants to throw, gets it away, and it is caught by Collins. Out of bounds goes Clarence.
He's been
at
doing
the 43.
Clarence Collins making some good catches, but he's always been on that sideline and stepping out of bounds.
That was an interesting play. They line up with two wide receivers to the right. Flutie rolled it that way. Now watch Collins. He'll go down there and try to run the defensive back deep, and he just kind of stops and gets lost.
Well, he was coming back to Doug Flutie, and he saw Doug Flutie right there rolling his way, looking at him, so he held his ground because there was no one else around.
This has been Flutie's most efficient day in the USFL. From the 43 of Portland, first down general. Man Carthel booms through for 8 to the 35. In the fourth quarter, Memphis Showboats are still leading the Baltimore Stars 10 to 3. They really need to break their losing streak, but at the same time, the defending champions are having a lot of trouble getting on track. Baltimore will drop to a 3-4-1 if they lose that ball game today, while it'll draw Memphis even at 4-4. Memphis is next for the New Jersey Generals. Flutie gives it to Pegues. Big hole over the left side. My goodness, he could have walked through it, and he scored.
Well, if you're looking for a play to get your confidence back after fumbling the football, that certainly was it. Looked like the same play, Keith. Just ran it a little bit closer to the end zone. Rod Pegues gets a lot of help. Great blocking up front. You see the hole opening up inside. He takes it to the outside, gets a good block by Broughton downfield, number 85, the receiver. And that little block by the receiver, Keith, is a difference in the long gain and the touchdown.
So the speedster out of Oklahoma gets a big play, and the Generals have just slammed the door on the Breakers. Howard McAdoo hurt on the play and is coming off the field. So that's a loss for Portland, and the Breakers will stay on the road and stay back here and try to regroup and go on down to play Baltimore at Baltimore next week. Luzak for the extra point. It's good. So this Portland team that came up with a loss of 33-0 at home to San Antonio, bounced back to beat Oakland 30-17, come back to the East Coast now, and they are just being absolutely dominated by the New Jersey Generals as Pegues goes in from 35 yards, 34-7 now for the Generals at 7:53 to play in the ball game. And there's the father-son coaching combination for the Portland Breakers. Steve Corey, who coaches the wide receivers, played at Oregon State.
And he's got another son that works with the television crew on the Dick Corey show.
High short kickoff taken up around the 16-yard line by Alex Clark. Clark out of LSU, a defensive back, and Alex gets it up across the 25 to about the 28. At 7 minutes and 44 seconds to play in the football game. I think you can safely assume now that New Jersey is going to win this ball game and go to a 5-3 record. That leaves them one game off the lead being shared by Tampa Bay, and that's really assuming something because Tampa Bay must play tomorrow night against the Denver Gold, and the Denver Gold showed you something last week when they whacked Arizona. They're working out of the shotgun on first down. Robinson gets it away and throws it away. He really didn't have anybody to throw to. He had Frank Lockett over here, but Jerry Holmes is all over him. And the reason Matt unloaded it as safely as he could was because Lockett was coming.
Lockett was coming in his face, and he looked like he was trying to set up a screen as opposed to throw the ball downfield. When you saw Frank Lockett blocking down, looked like he was getting in a position to block Keith. Wasn't even looking back at the ball. So I have to assume that he was getting set because of the timing on the screen, but the people involved in that screen did not get out, and the rush was too strong.
Pass is thrown underneath to Dan Ross, and that's something you don't see very often. The ball was right on the numbers, and Ross was looking to check Leopold to see where Bobby was, and simply did not catch the ball.
And you see, Keith, I would not have ever dropped a pass like this. But Dan Ross did. Now, I'm not saying Dan's not as good a receiver as I am, because he's bigger than I am. He might hurt me on that. But I think it was just a matter of concentration at that point in time, coming out. Now you guys put me on camera so you can really take a shot at me.
That's right. 3rd and 10. Ball is batted down and almost intercepted. Bobby Leopold, who stepped over into a middle position at a linebacker spot, he almost had his first interception. And Matt Robinson is still down. And is that a penalty flag over there?
I thought it was, Keith. I'm not sure. I can't see it right now. Yes, there is a flag down.
And Doug Woodward better warm up in a hurry.
Number 75 is Frank Mattias, who's coming around the top. The ball was thrown a long time ago. I think it's going to be
it is a roughing the quarterback
roughing
call.
The passer.
Robinson took that lick in the side and went down hard on his side. Helmet maybe hit the ground.
Getting it back? Yeah, I'm
okay. Trainers and Dick Corey, the head coach, out there with him.
He's just got a burner. He's coming it back now. Getting it back? Sit up.
Apparently he had the wind knocked out of him. He wanted to get up a lot sooner. They told him just to lie there until he got it back. That's his wind, of course.
Portland will have a first down on the roughing the passer call up at the 43-yard line. Robinson slow to get up. Memphis and Baltimore now even at 10-10 in the fourth quarter with 4 minutes and 18 seconds remaining. They tied on an 11-yard pass from Chuck Fusina to Willie Collier. There's Doug Woodward warming up. Now he's called over by his coach, and Robinson is going to have to come out of the ball game. And Doug Woodward will go in. Woodward is a 200-pounder out of Pace College here in the New York area, New Jersey area. Orlando's jumped out to a 7-0 lead over Arizona. The Renegades have led in a lot of ball games, but only won one.
That happens.
Woodward is a young quarterback with a very strong arm, very aggressive player, but he's only working at a 44% clip so far this year. Gilbert's after him and hits him as he delivers. Eddie Gilbert looping outside, showing the speed. And now Woodward gets up and wonders what in the world fell on me.
Yeah, that's right. He had his back turned to Freddie Gilbert. There's no way he could see him coming. Gilbert just comes around the outside, around number 72, Lewis Bullard. You see, he just takes a long way, then just lowers that shoulder to get the right angle. And just as that arm is moving forward, he unloads on him.
That's a whack, man.
Surprise, surprise. Welcome to the action.
That's 280 pounds taking you down. That'll leave a lump. 2nd and 10. Woodward, big and strong, and keeps on pounding for a first down to the 37-yard line of New Jersey, where John Miller finally got him.
Now, Doug Woodward that time, Keith, running. He lost his balance a little bit, and you'll watch him here. Gilbert's coming at him again. He almost spins and catches him. And watch when he gets off balance, kind of runs now here like a listing ship. He's just not got it quite together. Can't put it there, and he's finally hit and brought down.
Drilled in front of Anthony Allen. Incomplete forward pass, and again, Woodward is put down, this time by Byrne. I'll tell you one thing Doug better do when he's running in traffic like that is put the ball away, or he won't have it very long.
Well, so in that case, I just think he was trying to maintain his balance, so the ball was out there.
So that's what did happen to him. He went down, hit that helmet hard on the artificial surface. He got his bell rung. 2nd down and 10 for the Breakers. 6:10 to play. Woodward throws it short, trying to get it to Vince Williams, but the New Jersey defensive people are really having a day. Now, Leopold was right there with Williams, and Vince had very little chance. But see the quickness of Gilbert coming from that defensive end position. You get preoccupied with him. You got Byrne on the other side. They're tough.
Well, they were having a little stunt going there where he was coming to the inside. And as the play progressed, the quarterback was rolling to the outside, so instead of going upfield, he just continued out to that sideline to make the play.
Well, Gilbert still hit him.
Yeah.
X-rays taken of Howard McAdoo. See whether or not he has trouble. Contact in the middle. Now we get a ruckus as the Lavasa, the center for the Portland Breakers, was knocked down, and he throws the ball at the New Jersey General, and now we got a full-blown fist fight.
Bullard's in there throwing fists. Everybody's involved. It's the grand old fight in the football game. Tempers flaring because one team just really having this game handed to them.
Dick Corey's out in the middle of the field hollering at one of the officials. He's been doing a lot of squawking this year.
Yep.
Hey, ref!
Anytime a team is taking a thrashing, like the Breakers are taking from the Generals, sometimes those tempers get high enough where they don't appreciate the extra little hit you give them because you think they went offside. Byrne comes up. He thinks Lavassa's moved the ball. He hits him. Now he's pointing at him. Lavasa will get mad. He'll throw the ball at him, and Byrne will not take it. He just jumps him a little push. Now, 72, Lewis Bullard gets in on some action, too. He starts flinging bodies around. Don't ever take your helmet off in a fight on a football field.
Well, he didn't take it off. Somebody tore it off.
Well, you better go find it or else get out of the action. You end up with a concussion.
63, offense, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Number 25 on the defense.
25?
Unnecessary roughness.
John Preston?
75 on the defense.
Oh, there we go.
Penalty's all set. Third down.
Yeah. You throw the flags out there, Keith. It stops everybody, or you hope it stops everyone. So the officials themselves don't have to get involved because they could get hurt.
I didn't see Lavasa move the ball, did you?
No, Lavasa didn't move the ball. But I think it was Thompson, the right guard, who jumped a little bit, but it was Lavasa who took the hit. Sentinels are in a vulnerable position with their heads down. And then everybody else jumped in on the action.
Well, a good fist fight's all right, I guess. We're going to play this game.
It woke a few people up.
In the springtime. Third down and 10. It's all right as long as I'm up here. Woodward's pass to the sidelines, and it hits Kenny Johnson in the back. Intended for Frank Lockett. Incomplete. It'll bring up fourth down.
What do you mean as long as you're up here? You're a tough guy, Keith. You can handle your own.
Might have been a time, but...
Well, now you got to pass on some of that toughness now that you're a grandfather, Keith. What's your grandson's name? Congratulations, by the way.
Ian Breckenridge McKenzie.
Okay.
Big fella. 34-7. Generals in control.
Bounce him on your knee, take him up to Canada, do a little fishing.
Let Grandma take him fishing. 6 minutes to play. Woodward loops it up. And Lockett can't come down with it. Kenny Johnson was right there with him. And so the fourth down pass falls incomplete. And New Jersey will take over at 5:54 to play in the game.
I'm surprised that Lockett didn't make this catch. He's a tough receiver, almost as big as a linebacker from the University of Nebraska, and he was responsible for some very big plays last year to bring this team back from behind. I don't think he's going to do it today, but we'll find out what they're going to do in just a moment. Speaking of boxing, Keith, I have some inside information I'm going to give you in just a second here.
Ron Reeves, as any quarterback, gives the ball to Rod Pegues, and Pegues, who at one time was a quarterback himself for the Oklahoma Sooners, comes up and is very close to a first down. And Doug Flutie continues, had been in every offensive play for New Jersey, up to this particular point, but with a 34-7 lead now, and the game securely tucked away. Flutie is going to stay on the sidelines, and they'll give some playing time to Ron Reeves. Reeves is out of Texas Tech. He was with the Chicago Blitz for a time. 6'2", 220. Second down and very short. Reeves almost dropped the ball, could not make the handoff, and because of the offensive line surge, he's able to go ahead and recover and pick up the first down. You got Lapham in the ball game now, along with Jewell and Maggs and Harris and Stroth, and Hall stays at center.
Well, Reeves still picks up the first down. One of the problems in having a quarterback come in at this point in the ball game, your backup QB that is the timing with the center. Ken Hall has been out there working with Doug Flutie all afternoon, so sometimes that's a problem. Also, I was going to say that we don't expect him to see too much action throwing the football with a commanding lead, just trying to work the clock down. And now he comes out and throws the football.
Good arm. Intercepted. Well, he made that one pretty obvious. And coming up out of the secondary, Bruce Miller, who is the leading interceptor for the Portland Breakers, steps in front of Marcus Anderson. He telegraphed it to Anderson and made the play relatively easy for Miller, the ball thrown that far.
Well, they run a play-action pass here trying to hold the linebackers. They don't really hold them. He gets the ball up, and you see it's lofted there, Keith. Gives the secondary man a lot of time to come up and make the play. Anderson could have made a play in front of that ball, Keith, and could have prevented that from being a reception. A receiver, once the ball is in the air and it's in jeopardy of being picked off, has to turn into a defensive back. Right there, Anderson just waits for it to come down, and he's as much responsible for the interception as Reeves is.
Doug Woodward comes out at quarterback for the Portland Breakers now at 4:23 to play in the ball game. They stay with the forward pass, and Woodward throws it hard into double coverage and gets away with it as the ball is caught up at the 35 by Frank Lockett.
A strong arm will give you that ability. We saw Jim Kelly last week throw a lot of passes into coverage, but he threw them because he had the confidence and the strength in his arm. And you always see a quarterback with a strong arm take those chances.
Drills another one, this time to Beverly, and Beverly has a first down up at about the 48-yard line of Portland. The Breakers with another first down. In the first quarter, Curtis Bledsoe has scored on a 19-yard run, and the Orlando Renegades have jumped out to a 14-0 lead over the Arizona Outlaws. Woodward pumps, goes to the sidelines, get out of bounds. Nolan Franz made the catch, turned it back inside, and the clock will keep running.
He should have gotten out of bounds, but Nolan Franz and all the other receivers for this Breaker team don't get a chance to see the ball that much, and I'm sure once they catch it, go! They want to try and do as much as they can with it.
With less than a minute to play in the fourth quarter at Baltimore, it's a 10-10 ball game between the Showboats and the Stars. Woodward on the first down to the sidelines. Lockett trying to come back to it, but Jerry Holmes sort of rode him a little bit and took him out of the play.
Well, Jerry Holmes had position on him. He played him inside. The ball was thrown short into the inside. And what Lockett was trying to do was to slow down, get behind Holmes, and make a play for the ball. Instead, he jumped over his shoulder. Holmes having position on him, there could have been contact. He would not have been called for pass interference.
The Generals' next home game will be against Orlando. Let's see. Yes, against Orlando.
It's a blitz.
They got him.
Terry Daniels, number 24, Keith, came in from the outside position, outside coverage position, and number 90, Freddie Gilbert, consistent all afternoon, putting pressure on the passer, came from this position to sandwich him in for the sack.
Third time the Portland quarterback has been sacked. It is now third down at about 22. Matty Ace comes bolting through.
63.
But you've got a false start by the center, Lavasa. That time, Roger did move a tad.
Keith, you were talking about boxing. One of the players for the Breakers, Alan Hughes, in the offseason was one of the bodyguards for Tommy Hearns, who's fighting Marvin Hagler tomorrow night. His father is in charge of all of the security for Tommy Hearns. So who do you think he says is going to win the fight?
Not much doubt.
Tommy Hearns.
Need about 23 yards now. To the sideline to Franz, and the ball is knocked away by Kenny Johnson. So that'll bring up 4th down and very, very long. And the matter is academic now, as New Jersey leads by a score of 34-7. And the Generals will be at 6-3. Birmingham, not 6-3. They'll be at 5-3, while Birmingham is at 6-2, and Tampa Bay will be playing at home against Denver tomorrow night. 8 teams out of the total of 14 will go into the playoffs. So you'll have somebody, I expect, in the playoffs with a losing record. They go on 4th and 23. Woodward's pass is away for Lockett, and it's knocked away by Jerry Holmes. Incomplete.
Jerry Holmes, after having spent most of this season watching the New Jersey Generals play because of an injury, has been back in the last 3 weeks in this lineup. That's made a big difference in how well the secondary will cover teams that come into the stadium.
Dan Hurley is hurt, shaken up, and down for the moment. Next Sunday, we're looking at 2 possibilities for you. That decision will be made sometime early in the week. Tampa Bay at Birmingham and Houston at Arizona. Arizona right now is in trouble against Orlando, trailing 14-0 in the first quarter. And Birmingham won their ball game last night against Oakland 20-17. But Cliff Stout having more trouble with that right elbow. He might not be available. We won't know anything about that until Wednesday. They're talking now to Dan Hurley, the big guard out of Nebraska.
Hit on the side, Dan.
Hurley now has to be helped off the field. And should they lose him, that is a big, big loss to the Portland Breakers.
This is what happens in a game, Keith, when you're getting blown out. Sometimes you become a little bit lax. You feel the game is over. You get yourself in a very vulnerable position when your opponent, who's beating you pretty good, continues to be aggressive in attacks. You get stuck in a bad situation, you come away with the injuries. So not only will Dick Corey have to take his team to a hotel and get ready for Baltimore on the East Coast, but they'll also have to contend with having the injuries and trying to figure out just who to play as a result of those injuries.
I think it's a hard way to make a buck.
It is real hard. That's why I'll never be a coach.
New Jersey takes over at the Portland 48 and give the ball to Clarence Harmon. Clarence's first carry of the day. He and Pegues lined up in the New Jersey backfield, and he moves the ball for about a 5-yard, I'd call it a 4-yard pickup, close to 5. Herschel Walker's work is done for the day, and it was a big day for him, over 100 yards.
Now, Herschel is 23 years old. This is his 3rd season of professional football. He left Georgia with 1 year of eligibility. So I think physically Herschel is just starting to mature and come around, especially with the help of that shoulder operation to relieve him of that pressure. Say hello to the rest of the family.
When Herschel left Georgia, boy, it set off a ruckus in the South.
Now, it sure did. I'm surprised, Keith, that as we approach a 2-minute warning, that there aren't more college ball players who could be great professionals who aren't leaving early while this league is still playing, and they can leverage or put pressure on 2 leagues.
Better hurry.
Better hurry.
OT.
Overtime. Love those overtime games.
2nd down and 5, call it. And Harmon is the deep man. 2 minutes to play in the ball game. It's long since been settled. They give it to Harmon, and Harmon is close to a first down. So Clarence finally getting a chance to handle the ball. He's a pretty good receiver. They've used him a lot as a blocking fullback, and as a receiver out of the backfield, but he has not had much chance this year to carry the football. But what I'm seeing over the last 2 weeks, I would say this they've got a first down. This New Jersey ball club now has in fact become a force to be reckoned with, particularly in the Eastern Conference.
And I think it's a direct result of Herschel Walker. Now, Doug Flutie adds some new wrinkles to what this team does, but his success, especially in the last 2 weeks, has been a result of the offensive line and Herschel Walker and Maurice Carthen running the football so well.
Clock is rolling now, and on first down, the Generals are just going to take the snap and let the clock roll, and I'm sure the Portland Breakers are going to let the clock roll as well. Flutie finishing today at 13 out of 18 for 191 yards and a touchdown. The New Jersey Generals now will go to a record of 5-3 and remain a game off the pace in the Eastern Conference. The Portland Breakers will drop to 3-5, and they face the tough chore of having to stay on the road and go next week to play the Baltimore Stars at Baltimore. Herschel Walker finished the day with 25 carries for 109 yards and scored 2 touchdowns, coming off his record performance last week in which he picked up 233 yards, and this should be the last snap of the ball game.
Well, Keith, if you don't count this possession, because they're just running out the clock, the Generals had the ball 8 times and scored every time with the exception of the one time on the fumble and when they were intercepted. So on 8 possessions, they scored 6 times. 2 of those were field goals and the rest were touchdowns, and that's a very successful day for the offense.
So Walter goes on off the field and perfectly satisfied for 2 weeks in a row as his team has performed very, very well. They go on the road next week to take on the Memphis Showboats down in the Liberty Bowl, and that will be a little stronger matchup, I think, for the New Jersey Generals. There's your final score, 34-7. Back to Rapid in a moment. Now let's join Tim Brandt as he talks with Herschel Walker.
All right, Keith. Let's start by talking about you. The shoulders are healthy now. It makes a difference because you can see you're turning upfield, you're bowling people over. You look like you're running with more confidence, definitely more authority.
Well, no doubt I'm running with a lot more confidence because I think last year was sort of like a headache to me also, whereas I couldn't run over people. And this year I got the momentum. The offensive line has gave me the confidence that they're going to, get on people and give me the opportunity to take on 1 person, maybe 2 people, but I'm going to try to get yards.
Herschel, you had to watch the films of their big win against Oakland last week, which was an upset. Their defense was aggressive. Their guys were putting their helmets on people, running to the football. Today it looked like they were almost frozen.
Yeah, it's not really they were frozen. I think we as an offense have dedicated ourselves to getting on people. No matter if it's the wrong person, we're going to get on someone. And I think by doing that, you're going to make things happen. You're going to be more aggressive, which is going to slow that defense down.
Now, you've got to believe, too, the way that Doug has been playing and the way you've been really hot the last couple of weeks and running with so much authority, that it has to give not only the entire team, but more specifically, the offensive line. We talked to Kent Hall. He says if he just gets you a cutoff block now, they feel that not one tackler can bring you down.
Well, I think the offensive line has picked up that confidence a great deal, and I think with the asset of Maurice and I and Doug, but then I think all training camp, they worked very hard to prove to people that they're one of the best offensive line in the USFL, and I think today they proved that. Last week they proved it, and they've been coming on real strong, and I think that we can keep everyone on offensive line strong, no telling what we could do this year.
We followed you guys. I feel like we're the New Jersey Network. We're with you almost every week, but we've seen your offense mature with Doug Flutie. The first half down in Birmingham, he sat in the pocket. Everybody looked a little bit unsure of themselves. You're not using that wide, you're not going out to the wide spot as much. They're setting you at home, and it seems to really be clicking now. It seems like you found your rhythm.
Well, no doubt. I think people must understand when a young person comes to an offense, it takes a little time because defense are going to play him. They will play him different, which will make it very tough. And I think they beginning to realize that Doug is he's a great football player, and he can make things happen.
You and I have talked about the pressure that was put on your shoulders when you came into this league. It was the Herschel Walker League, according to some. Then Doug came in, and he had that pressure. Now he says he's happy that you're starting to get the limelight back because it's taking it back off his shoulders.
Well, it's not really that. I think it's putting on the shoulder of the whole Generals team because we got a lot of talent on this team. We got a lot of people who can make things happen, and not just Doug and I. You got Maurice, you got Rod, you got a good defensive group, and I think the pressure has been put on all of us to go out and play well and play up to our potential.
Is everything happy now in the New Jersey household with the balance in the offensive attack?
Well, yes. I think everything is working out real well because the team is beginning to gel. The defense is playing well. The offense is playing well. And I think what we got to do now is just keep the rhythm going.
Can anybody stop you now? It seems like you guys are dominating anybody that comes along.
Well, it's not really can anyone stop you. You can stop yourself. And I think that's one of the big things we've had this year is by beating yourself, making a lot of mental mistakes. And that's something we're going to try to get away from.
Okay, Herschel. Thanks for stopping by and giving us your time.
Okay, thanks.
All right, Keith. It's awfully cold out here. It was nice of Herschel to stop by. I'm going into the hot showers.
Well, you're lucky. Memphis and Baltimore now in overtime in a 10-10 ball game. On Friday night, Jacksonville beat San Antonio 28-17, and San Antonio was starting to make some noise. They had a chance to go even, but losing, they dropped back now to a 3-5 record. And last night, Birmingham beat Oakland 20-17. And looking down the road, you see at the end of the season, the New Jersey Generals will be going in there against the Birmingham Stallions. The Orlando Renegades in the second quarter out to a 14-0 lead over the Arizona Outlaws. I watched that ball game in which Denver handled Arizona handily. I mean, they handled them last week. And I was a bit surprised, but they were able to shut down Doug Williams pretty well and kept Reggie Brown in check. And so consequently, one would not figure that the Tampa Bay Bandits in their game tomorrow night are in for a gimme. They're probably going to have a pretty good contest out of that. As you look at the final stats, and you see New Jersey totaled 440 yards in the ball game. And the ground troops had a pretty good day with 249 yards.
They sure did. The Breakers came into this game number 3 against the rush, and they've been holding their opponents down to 113.1 yards per game on the ground. As you can see there, 249. Herschel Walker leading the way was the big key in this ball game because it allowed them to dominate and to put points on the scoreboard. And again, they were only a couple of mistakes away from having what would be regarded as the first perfect offensive game in modern football history, save a fumble by Pegues and then the ball being intercepted. But an outstanding offensive game for the New Jersey Generals. The defense playing much more aggressively, not just sitting back waiting for things to happen, but taking the action to their opponents, something that I think has raised their attitude and made them feel a lot more confident about the way they're playing football.
And so your final score, the Generals 34 and the Portland Breakers 7.